Hi everyone, and welcome back to the interview series we are doing as part of the Multilingual Mind lecture series. Here, we are interviewing the different speakers and asking them questions about their research and their background. Our next speaker is Professor Ianthi Tsimpli, who will be giving a talk on the 1st of December on multilingualism in underprivileged contexts. She's professor of English and Applied Linguistics at the University of Cambridge, and works, among other areas, on language development in children and adults, language impairment, attrition, and bilingualism. In the lecture, she will be talking about a project on multilingualism and multiliteracy in India. That is why, firstly, we wanted to know what motivated her to start doing research in India. Let's see what she had to say.
The motivation came from two sources. The first was a very fortunate but completely accidental encounter with a group of visitors from India. The visitors were invited by British Council to visit different universities in the UK. One of which was the University of Reading. So these visitors came to the Center for Literacy and Multilingualism at the University of Reading, where I was working at the time. For me, India was a completely unknown territory, both as a person, because I had never visited the place, but also as an academic. British Council also invited Professor Janine Treffers-Daller and myself to visit India twice before we were feeling confident to apply for a project, which eventually was awarded, and we managed to complete it very recently. So during these visits, both Janine and I were very excited about the several visits we had to pay to different schools, government schools, but also private schools in India. We talked to many academics, but also non-academics who were members of non-government organizations working on education. And we came to realize what the central and important issue language is for Indian culture and society, and also linguistic diversity, of course. So we got really excited about all the prospect of us continuing or starting a 4-year project. And this is what the motivation was. So that was the accidental part. There was another part, which is the academic part, of course, that had to do with a project that I was running at the time in Europe. And I was also, apart from Reading, I was also at the time based in Greece, in Thessaloniki. And I had a 3-year European project that was focusing on bilingualism, bilingual children and their cognitive and linguistic abilities, and how these can be affected depending on whether the children knew how to read and write in their home language, but also the majority language, and also whether they attended bilingual schooling, bilingual education, or they were in a monolingual setting. So basically, these are the two reasons that led me to start work in India.
Since India is one of the most linguistically diverse countries in the world, we were also curious to know how multilingualism differs in India compared to Europe.
Well, multilingualism in Europe is found primarily in individuals, and it is not practiced in society as such. Okay? So with few exceptions, most countries in Europe offer monolingual schooling in the majority language. And where bilingual schools operate, they usually try to cater for communities in which there are 2 official languages, or in which there is a large heritage language community that speaks that language and wants to support that. But again, there are very few exceptions that follow that route. In India, the average adult speaker speaks a minimum of 3 to 4 languages, and this speaker is likely to have been educated, if they have been educated, they are likely to have been educated in more than one language. It's also the case that a large number of Indian children and adults is educated in English, which is, of course, as you know, not an Indian language. So it is, they are educated in a language that is not their home language or even a majority language. And this is very much unlike the situation you find in Europe. Using more than one language in a single conversation is extremely common among Indian speakers, and there is no stigma associated with language mixing, even in news broadcasts. So in Europe, we seem to maintain a more puristic form of multilingualism, where we separate the languages that we speak and we use them in different contexts. And we expect multilinguals to keep the languages separate in all contexts except the most informal ones.
Thank you, Professor Tsimpli, for taking your time and answering the questions. And thank you for watching. I hope to see some of you at the lecture series.